So I think this is likely the final video in this build series. Because I think at the end of the session, this car is sort of all but done. Spoiler alert, except for the clutch leading, which I haven't gotten a chance to do yet. And the I had to adjust my throttle position for idle. Uh, but the other thing I would have to do is I have to torque up the rear hubs and all of the wheels. I attempted to do that this session, but my my 42 millimeter socket for the rear hubs was not long enough so that my torque wrench would clear the wheel arch. So I just couldn't torque it without damaging the wheel arch. So I had to buy some extenders and I'm waiting for that to come in before I torque the hubs and the wheels again. So anyways, for this session, I put the front wheels back on because the Sikaflex is dried. Uh, my friend told me to Loctite the screws on the coil covers because he lost one from vibrations while driving. So I did that, and then I installed the seats by myself. It's notoriously a difficult job for one person, but I was kind of impatient, so I tried to do it myself. The spacers are still kind of a mystery to me. So if you recall my pack that came with the spacers that go between the seat rails and the seat itself, I had about 14 of these thinner spacers. I think they are maybe like 2 millimeters thick or maybe 3 millimeters thick. And then four of these, no, I think only two of the thicker spacers, which were probably 6 to 8 millimeters thick. The manual doesn't do a good job of explaining what goes where and why, but I just had to sort of try different configurations, none of which seemed to be perfect. Always one side would sort of uh, be higher than the rest. I thought the idea was I thought the idea was that the spacers would make the seat fit inside the chassis so that it's not sort of rubbing against the sides, but I couldn't get anything to work for that. Anyways, I ended up with mostly two of the thin washers or spacers under each um, corner of the seat, and then the outer forward corner of the seat, I had one thick and one thin washer. And that at least let me bolt up the seats underneath. Um, the adjustable seat, your lever to adjust it might be or might be pull up or push down. Mine is a push down one. And in order to push it down, after it's installed, I actually had to pull and pry the bar up a little bit to bend it so that it could clear enough when I pushed it down. Be very careful when you're putting in the seat bolts because if they're slightly crooked and have a little bit of resistance, don't force it because, like me, in one of the previous sessions, you will shear the nutsert on the rail off, and then you'll be sort of stuck. And you might have to cut the bolt off in order to get the seat out. Be very careful there. I think the last thing was, oh yes, my engine would die when I try to start the car up unless I sort of held the throttle open a little bit. So I talked to my dealer about it and he advised there is I guess it's called the throttle idle stopper. Anyways, that lives right under the lever that the throttle cable pulls. Basically, it's a positive drive bolt with a nut on the underside that locks it. You need to undo the nut on the underside and then lift the lever and then just loosen the bolt just a little bit so that it's, you know, maybe a millimeter higher, maybe less. You want to do some testing, but you just want it to be as low as possible and still have the engine start successfully. So I gave it maybe a 2 or 3 turns. And then I locked the nut back up. And then I tried starting the car. And then there, my engine would start without me having to push the throttle down. Um, and then after that, I lowered the car and I think I'm all but ready to go. I just need to bleed the clutch, tighten the wheels, and then maybe I can go for a first drive.